Hey guys, welcome back to Enflix. I'm Alan, and today's video is gonna be a little bit different because I just finished my orientation and I had my first shift by myself at the hospital, and I wanted to tell you guys about it. And I'm wearing my damn shirt for a reason because it was wild. I have my coffee ready and let's get started. So today's video is a little bit different in terms of my setup. I'm not in my usual space. I'm just hanging out in my living room because I walked into my office to film and my office chair was mysteriously missing, and I'm not in the mood to ask questions, so I just left. So let's get to the shift. My manager calls me the day of and she asks me to work on another unit. I usually work on orthopedic surgery, but this shift was scheduled on general surgery. So the difference is there's gonna be less hip fractures, less fractures in general, and more like abdominal surgeries, usually like appendicitis, anything to do with the bladder and the urethra and stuff like that. It just so happened that all of my patients had a TURP done. TURP, it stands for transurethral resection of the prostate. And it happens a lot when men have benign prostatic hyperplasia. Their prostate enlarges a little bit too much and they find it difficult to urinate at all because the prostate is situated around the urethra and the urethra goes through the prostate. So when it becomes too big, the pressure on the urethra is too much and they can't urinate, and that can cause a whole load of problems like infections and potential sepsis and stuff like that, and just general discomfort. A TURP is a really good way because they go through the urethra, they use a laser to resect the prostate, and they pretty much reopen up the opening of the urethra, so the men find it a lot easier to urinate after, and it's a very easy procedure with a really easy overall recovery. The thing is, there is still a curve that people need to go through while healing through this process. So I come in and I get all these men. This is my first shift by myself. Usually they wean you on. They give you like a couple easy patients. No, didn't happen for me. I sit down, I'm getting a report. My first patient, he needs a blood transfusion right off the bat. Okay, let's give him a unit of blood. No problem. His hemoglobin's super low, but he's pretty much set for discharge. But let's just top him up before he goes. Okay, no problem. The other guy, he's a post-op prostatectomy. I'm getting another post-op who's incoming. I haven't admitted him yet, so I'm admitting a patient who just had a TURP as well, and he also had a hernia repair. Fourth patient has a hernia repair. Fifth patient had a TURP done, has a CBI, which is continuous bladder irrigation. The post-op that I'm admitting also has continuous bladder irrigation. And for those who haven't experienced a CBI before, you get those huge 3-liter bags of saline. You get 2 of them, you hook them up to a Y port, and they continuously irrigate the bladder. The urine's always coming out a little bit pink because of the type of surgery. They're cleaning out the bladder, they're irrigating it and making sure that no clots are coming or developing inside of the bladder after that surgery. It requires a whole lot of close monitoring because you cannot allow the bags to go empty, because once they go empty, that means the bladder is no longer being irrigated. That means there's a potential for the development of clots, and that's a dangerous complication. So you constantly have to keep an eye on these CBI bags. They're huge, they're heavy, they're loud too. In the middle of the night opening those bags, it's a lot. And not only to have one, but to have 2, and then to have a blood transfusion going, and you have to closely monitor that every 15 minutes to make sure that they're not having an acute hemolytic reaction to the blood. Luckily, nothing happened in the blood transfusion department. The CBIs, I'm keeping a close eye on them. And then the patient who had a prostatectomy, I go to check on him. His blood pressure is like 77. And I'm like, let's try the other arm. It's gonna be better. The cuff is just too loose. It's fine. Let's try the other arm. Put it on the other arm, 71. I'm like, oh my God, okay. Immediately, it's the middle of the night and I'm staring at the vitals machine like, and then the wife is like, is everything okay? And I'm like, how do I tell you this? So I call the rapid response team, I call the doctor, I get a fluid bolus, I'm bolusing him like, woo! I bolused him a liter. His blood pressure went up to like 80, which is still really bad. I call the rapid response team. They come in, they're doing their assessment. They're like, you did the right thing. You should always call rapid response if you see someone's deteriorating like this. We're probably gonna take him to ICU because this is so complicated and way too complex for this unit, because this is like, you know, we get people who just had surgery. We don't usually take care of people who are like ICU level, like really complex. That requires much more close monitoring of them. And the ICU, they have a physician there all the time, and it's much easier to get orders, and it's much more expedited in that process. So they're like, okay, we're probably gonna take him to ICU. Meanwhile, I'm here like, oh my God, I'm basically taking care of an ICU patient, a blood transfusion, 2 CBIs, and a hernia repair. It's like my first day. It's coming almost to my break time, and then we did a stat blood test, a CBC on this guy whose blood pressure was really low. We find that within 12 hours, his hemoglobin dropped from 109, which is reasonable, to 76, which is really, like, it's bad. 76 on, depending on the person, could be okay, but just the fact that it dropped so dramatically in a single day means that he's bleeding, and he's bleeding a lot, and that explains his hypotension. That explains the fact that the fluid boluses are basically doing nothing because it's all just coming out somewhere else. So rapid response is there. We get the hemoglobin is 76. I'm freaking out, and right away we're like, okay, we need to transfuse him as well. So just as my first blood transfusion is finishing up, I have a second one that's about to start. It's the middle of the night. I'm exhausted. I'm sleepy. I haven't had a break. I'm running down to the blood bank. I grab the blood. I prime the lines. I get everything started, and then I beg my friend. I'm like, can you please take the vitals on him? My break started an hour ago, and I only have about an hour left. I just want to squeeze in a little bit of sleep. And she's like, you're having the worst day. I'm so sorry. And I'm so thankful to have such supportive coworkers, because the team was incredible. They understood that it's my first day. They were all shook that I would receive the hardest assignment. The biggest thing that I continuously keep learning is that how important it is to work in a unit where you have a fantastic team, because your colleagues, if you're in trouble, if they will help you. And that is the best feeling, knowing that, shoot, like I can't get to all of this, but knowing that I can ask someone for help and to go check the vitals, or just like delegate something simple just to take that weight off your shoulders, is such an incredible feeling. And if anyone from my unit happens to see this video, I just want to say thank you so much, because if it wasn't for you, I don't know what I would have done. It was my first shift. Of course, I've had my orientation and I've had some experience, and I more or less have an idea of what needs to be done, but it's actually doing it that is like so different than ever. You know, you could watch it a million times, but then when you actually get hands-on and do it, it's so different. And having people there to support you and help you was instrumental in me not jumping out the window that night. I come back from my break. I finally got a little bit of sleep. And can I just add, while I was doing all of this, some of my colleagues got some linens and pillows and made the bed for me and prepared it for me. And I just thought that that was the most heartwarming, sweetest gesture that they could have done. And it just like goes to reiterate how much I love working with my team on the surgery unit. Like, I love you guys. You're amazing. You're angels. I come back from my break. This guy's blood pressure is 101, much improved, but he's still bleeding somewhere. That needs to be investigated. People are getting pain medications. I have to go empty the CBI, like back to the CBI bags. You have to empty like over 3 liters and measure how much of it was actually urine and not just irrigation, and make sure everything's working. Somehow 7 o'clock rolls around, and I just, you know, this wave of relief, because nobody died. It's over, and I've accomplished my first shift alone ever. It really depends on your mindset in these kinds of things, because I know a lot of people who would say, oh my God, I can't believe they did this to me. I can't believe they gave me the hardest assignment. I cannot believe that they put me on my first shift with such a difficult assignment, with such unstable patients, on a unit that I'm not even familiar working on. But I think it's important to kind of restructure the way that you see things, like shift your paradigm to think that, whoa, I just had a really good experience. I know if that ever happens again, Not only do I have now experience with doing multiple blood transfusions, boluses, caring for someone who's potentially gonna code, working with the rapid response team, just prioritizing and balancing everything that needed to be done. I think that while it was difficult, and it was so difficult, I have so much more experience as a nurse now, and I'm really grateful for that. And I think that we should all see these kinds of difficult experiences as opportunities for growth, and just to be grateful for them, because even though they're hard in the moment, the next time it comes around, I promise you it's going to be so much easier. I was gonna make a video about the worst shift of my life, but I can't even complain about it anymore because A, I had a preceptor to help me with everything, and B, looking back now, it doesn't even seem so bad, because in the moment, I really, I didn't know what to do. I thought I was going to just give up. I really didn't think I could handle everything that needed to be done that day, which was February 1st. I still remember the day. It was absolutely awful in the moment, but looking back now, I'm like, I just did that shift basically again in the middle of the night by myself. So if there's anything to be said here, it's to say that you will grow from these experiences and you will never experience them the same way again. If this ever happens to me again, I know I'll be like, well, you know what? I've done this before. I know what to do. As difficult as it is, it's over. It's over. You are a stronger person. You grew from it. And damn, you're going to be a good nurse. So that's it for my story time. I can't believe it happened, and verbalizing it all now, it's so cool because this is what I've always wanted to do. And now that it's here, I'm like, whoa, that was really scary, but that's awesome. I did it and I'm doing it, and I'm exactly where I've always wanted to be, and that is so cool. And we should be thankful of all of these difficult experiences because they really do make us stronger as people and better nurses, and we're awesome. So remember to like and subscribe. I'm gonna do more story times as crazy stuff begins to unfold, and I'll be happy to share them with you, of course, keeping everything confidential and all of that. So please stick around and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.